Hello, I'm Judith Lucy, and one of the first routines I ever performed was I told the story about how basically when I was a kid and our family used to go to the football, my father used to pull his raincoat over his head and pretend he was mentally challenged so he could get in for free. Let's face it, I've basically been telling jokes about my nutty Irish parents for years, but in the last one-person show I did, I actually only had one real throwaway gag about my father, where, look, admittedly, I did refer to him as being a bit of a something beginning with C. And I'm afraid the word wasn't chook. And this prompted one of my birth cousins to say, wow, Jude must have really hated her adoptive parents. And it might sound insane, but I was actually shocked. And I suddenly had this sense that I wanted to set the record straight. I really wanted to write about Mum and Dad as three-dimensional people. I wanted to try to understand them better, and I wanted to try to understand my feelings towards them better. And let's face it, I really needed a book advance. So hence I wrote The Lucy Family Alphabet, a reference book on all things Lucy. So we've got everything from A is for adoption to B is for breasts. I had lunch with my father in my early 20s, slipped up, made the mistake of telling him I'd been a bit depressed lately. Dad turned to me, didn't skip a beat, and said, well, do you think you'd be happier if you had a breast reduction? Because let's face it, you're completely out of proportion. C is for counselling. Strangely, I've had quite a bit of that. D is for diets. I was popped on one of those when I was 8. My brother and father would sit down to a roast, and Mum and I would sit down to a bowl of bran yogurt and low-calorie raspberry cordial all mixed together. Golly, I was regular. We've got F is for funerals. That's not such a cheery entry. G is for gran. My grandmother was tremendous. As a child, you'd skip up to her and you'd say, how are you, Gran? And she'd go, Lovey, I'm just waiting to die. And you always wanted to say, not as much as the rest of the family as Gran. H is for heart attack. Once again, not so cheery. Through to N is for nuts. My father and I had a dreadful falling out over testicles. And we finish on Z is for Zorba, because Zorba the Greek was Dad's favourite film. Within the book, I also talk about meeting my birth mother, and I talk about the Christmas day when I found out I was adopted at the age of 25 after a horrible family fight and the consequences that that had on the Lucys. I like to think a lot of the book's really funny, but I know that elements of it are also really sad, and I can honestly say that professionally, writing the book was the hardest thing I've ever done. Well, apart from when I had to appear on Inside Idol, bada boom, bada bang. So what I'm essentially saying is, please buy it! The Lucy Family Alphabet. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll marvel at the fact that I'm still trying to squeeze cash out of my dead parents.